everyone, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday, January 29th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it's time to go beyond the charts, beyond the news, beyond the bell. And boy, do we, this show changed a lot in the last hour. You know, as I sit down and sort of, you know, throughout the day, there's narratives that evolve, there's things that happen, and you know, I keep my notepad, Trader Hack, always have a notepad and pen right next to your mouse, next to your keyboard. We always want to like take electronic notes, do all those kinds of things, but honestly, nothing substitutes for just the good old-fashioned pen and paper. So I make notes throughout the day, and some, you know, I generally come on, you know, probably about an hour before the markets close. I have a general idea of how the shows go, general idea of what I'm going to talk about, right? And that all got thrown out the window here. So, guys, first of all, if you were in the YouTube chat, I want to know, were you green or red today? If you want to give me a dollar amount, that's fine. Obviously, people trading real accounts, people trading evals, Blue Live, or the live funded accounts, the numbers may be a little different. I see a couple of greens in there. That is excellent. I'm glad to see that. So guys, we have a ton to talk about, and I want to launch right into it with the big picture. So, boy, again, just so much to talk about here in terms of how do we handle a lot of different things. So we're going to jump right into the ES, right into the futures contract for the S&P 500. So I actually want to jump down to a 1 hour chart. Usually when I'm doing the big picture, when I'm looking at big things, right, I want to talk specifically about hold on just a second. There we go. I want to talk specifically on the 4 hour chart, but for this purposes, we are going to go over to the 1 hour chart. And you can see here, guys, everything was pretty, I hate using the B word. I hate using boring because every day in the markets is unique. We never know what's going to happen. And boy, things just really rocketed up. Didn't see any specific news, although I had to come down here about 40 minutes ago and start prepping for the show. So if some sort of news came out, again, as technical traders, we want to know what the news is in general, but we're more interested in how the markets react to it, right? And as we moved into FOMC this Wednesday, earnings after the close today, it just feels like somebody got a tip of something, right? Which, of course, would never ever happen in a multi-trillion-dollar industry like trading, right? Everybody plays by the rules. Nobody gets any information they should. Okay, I can't even say that crap with a straight face, but you guys understand, right? The big money is what the big money is, and the big money reacts. We all react with it. But definitely, guys, when we look at 4 hour on the ES, guys, we are not that far from the magic 5K in the ES, right? I know a lot of people on here, the NQ is sexy, right? We trade but the ES is really a good glimpse of what's going on in the markets. What a strong, basically, as we're still here on this 4 hour candle, what a strong, about 30, 40 point move in the ES here. Let's move over to the NQ. The NQ, so this NQ is a little different, right? As the ES sort of pushes to new all-time highs, the NQ lagging just a little, and I don't even like using the lagging word because, again, very, very strong. But we are back at the previously twice rejected 17,700 level here. So as we move into the Asian Open in a few hours, as we move into the European Open, and especially at 9:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, the main New York Open, it's going to be really interesting. Do we maintain this level? Honestly, you could sell me right now on the fact that we could retrace a lot of this over the coming hours. You could sell me on the fact that we open up tomorrow at new all-time highs. We have to process all this information. We have to process what happened, and specifically, we have to get the earnings out of the way, and then, of course, we have to get into the Asian session, the European session, and back to New York. Boy, what a so yeah, we've got a poll in the chat, guys. Was the breakout of balance part of your trading plan today? Again, I hate to use the boring word, but the markets were really just let's call it uneventful for most of the day today. And again, we just get into this situation where we always have to plan for things, right? As this move was happening, I was down here and I was kind of starting to get going. So I don't have all my various trading indicators and platforms up, but I do have Discord, and I scanned around the Blue Sky Discord, a few other trading Discords that I'm a part of, and this sort of caught everybody by surprise. A lot of people were sort of in the same mindset, right? We're going into FOMC on Wednesday. Going to be some great. I think there's going to be some great action out of FOMC, but that Monday, Tuesday may be uneventful. May be playing for smaller moves and just trying to bank a few hundred here or there until the FOMC. But boy, again, it's one of the reasons I love this job, guys. You never know what you're going to expect day to day. That can be frustrating, especially for newer and unexperienced traders. The young traders, as I like to say, young in experience, not necessarily in age. But boy, then you get a day like today, and whether you profit off this or you don't, hopefully you didn't get stopped out of too many positions. Am I from Massachusetts? I am not. I am not Vinny, but Vinci. But yeah, that's. I'm curious. Did I slip into a Boston accent there for a minute, or maybe we can go up to Canada there. Canada there, eh? I have a lot of friends up in Canada. I love it's the Canadian reputation for being overly friendly, at least based on the Canadians I know, is a very accurate one. And yeah, except the Canadians have a lot of trouble getting into some of the American markets when it comes to trading. Some of the platforms out there are a little tough to let them in. But hey, that's why we had funded trader companies and things like that. But anyway, so we have got a topic to talk about this week, and we're going to get back to the markets. We're going to look specifically on a shorter time frame here, and we're going to look at how the markets reacted. But I want to make sure to get this in because this is something that we were talking about last week, and I want to make sure we have time for. So if you noticed on the bottom of the screen, right down here, 8 tips to pass your evaluation. So I like to talk in generalities on the show. I want to give you hopefully nuggets of information that you're going to use for the rest of your career. In all the education stuff that I do, guys, I always say I'm interested in making 20 to 30 year traders, right? And I don't care if you're 70 and just starting today. I hope you live another 20, 25, 30 years, and I hope you make money trading to help whatever expenses you have and whatever lifestyle that you seek out. But with that in mind, this show is broadcast on the YouTube page for Blue Sky Trading Company, which has the clearest path to a live trading account. Not a live, you're not going to be in a sim a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. If you prove yourself in the eval, prove yourself in the Blue Live, you move on to a live funded account. And that's very important. If you read the fine print at some other places, even that claim to offer live accounts, it's usually on a case by case. Well, maybe if we like you, we do this, and I'm a cut and dry, black and white kind of guy when it comes to the markets, right? There's a lot in life. There's so much middle ground for a lot of things, and there's so much ambiguity in a lot of things. In trading, trading is a great binary. You're either a profitable trader or you're not. Every trade is either a winner or a loser. Obviously, you very rarely finish exactly $0 break even when you figure in commissions, right? And so when it comes to something like getting into a live account, you don't want ambiguity. And so there's the clearest path to getting into a live account is with the Blue Sky Trading Company. And also, before we get into this, make sure you check out the 40% off sale they're having right now. You go to the website, put in code 40% off any futures trading evaluation. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. With that in mind, guys, I want to get to our lesson of the day. And the lesson of the day, I've got to pull up my PowerPoint here. Oh, we got to get that off the screen. There we go. We're going to pull up our PowerPoint here. And 8 tips to pass in your eval. We're going to do 2 a day, and we're going to start here. We're specifically, guys, I know different places have different rules. I don't care about them, okay? I chose to come help out here at Blue Sky because of the reasons I just outlined, and specifically because their team, especially the guys I've interacted with, Josh, Raj, and Mike, all very dedicated to education. And as somebody who is similar with that, I definitely wanted to get on board and help you guys out who are signing up for Blue Sky evaluations. And number one, guys, is you have a month. Use it, right? Like this in this space, okay, with Blue Sky, if you were to go get a 40% off evaluation right now on January 29th, you don't renew until February 29th. Now, maybe one of two things happens within that time frame. Either you pass the eval or you break a rule, okay? And but everybody seems to do that in like 2 or 3 days. A lot of clients that I've worked with personally over the course of the past year that are with Blue Sky or another company, they seem to always want to pass or bust out and restart in 2, 3, or 4 days. And guys, we all want to make money in this business. We're here to make money. You sign up with a company like Blue Sky to make money. I have zero issue with that. In fact, I encourage that. And as you begin to scale, as you begin to get better, guys, the dollars definitely increase. But at the beginning, what's your hurry? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go do what they would have advised you to do in the 80s or 90s. Go spend years learning before you put well, who has that kind of time nowadays, right? So I'm not insisting you go on some multi-year time frame to to profitability. But at least when you sign up for your eval, you have an entire month. That means like on a day like today, prior to 3 o'clock Eastern, if you didn't see a trade that meets your criteria, then you don't trade. It's a great misnomer in this business that we're traders and the markets are open, therefore we have to trade. And that's not it at all. The markets are open and we see a setup that it meets our criteria, meets one of our trading plans, trading setups, playbooks, however you want to refer to them, then we trade. And only then do we trade. So you have, and every calendar month and when you sign up differs, but in general, you're going to have about 20 days-ish to complete your eval right before we reset. Could be, I think, as few as 18, could be as many as 22 or somewhere within there. So again, what's your hurry? Why are you trying to get into or, pass in everything in 4 days or bust out within 1 or 2? It honestly doesn't make any sense to me, because then you're paying for a reset or you're, canceling and getting another account or whatever the case may be. You have a month, use it. Now, I'm realistic. I know those of you that try to do things in 3 or 4 days are not going to take the full 20, but maybe try 10. Try to make, on average, I hate to use daily averages sometimes because people think you need to stop when you hit that, or you're not going to be green every single day. But just when you first start your first week, just say to yourself, okay, I would like to average $200 of profit per day this week. So at the end of the week, you're up $1,000 in your eval. If you're in a $50,000 eval with Blue Sky, that puts you 33% of the way towards passing that eval. Okay, so you're making progress. Now, you may be plus 400 on Monday, plus 100 on Tuesday, minus 200 on Wednesday, plus 400. You understand what I'm saying. But just average that out, okay? And all of a sudden, if you were able to do that over 3 weeks, you pass in 3 weeks, and you're on to the second stage, into the Blue Live, right? Or you just want to do 300 a day, try to do it but you get what I'm saying. Everybody, and I see this in our Discord channel where people post profits and losses and all this stuff, that most people get really into it, trying to pass. Obviously there's consistency rules, and you try to pass in 1 day, or you try to go to a competing company that lets you pass in 1 day, which, that's just gambling, in my opinion, at that point, right? You have a month, use it. And especially, guys, if you're brand new, okay, into trading, all right, you're still kind of finding your bearings, I highly encourage, and we're gonna take a future show, maybe next week, since we're focusing on tips to pass evals. We're gonna break down some of the accounts and I'll make recommendations based on what stage of your trading career, which account I think you should go after. But if you're brand new, try the static account. Okay, where you have a $800 static drawdown, and you have I believe you need $2,000 to pass. Okay, but the catch is you have a 5 micro position size maximum. Okay, why that account exists and why I really encourage people to go for it, because if you pass that account, more than likely, knock on wood, it's not just on 3 or 4 or 5 trades, right? It's not just a fluke in a day or two. It's something you're going to have to spend a couple of weeks doing. And we have a P&L channel on our Discord. It's really encouraging for me to see the people in that account that post proudly, and rightfully so, $200 or $300 profits on a given day. That's great. That's what you need to do, okay? I've said it before. I'll say it 1,000 times again. Honestly, guys, I'm spoiling a future tip here, but I'll do it. Honestly, just find a strategy that works and scale it, and that's really all you need to do. Okay, so let's move on to our next tip. Some of you guys are not going to like this one, okay? But I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I'm here to give you tips that I think will help you pass an eval. For goodness sakes, guys, do one at a time, right? Start with one. Now, if you're able to manage multiple accounts, okay, good for you. But in talking with a lot of traders that have gone through this over the years, it's so tempting. Every time there's some ridiculous 90% off sale or some garbage at another firm, everyone wants, I got 10 of these today. Well, okay, what are you going to do with those? Well, you're going to tie them together and copy trade them, right? It always amuses me, and if you think this is a personal attack on you because you do this, well, then, to be honest, it probably is. I never understand people who really struggle to find profitability, right? Maybe they've been trading for 6 months, and they really can't string more than a couple of days of profits together, and they're consistently busting out accounts, and they think the answer to that is to tie a bunch of accounts together and just go for YOLO it at that point. Now, when you're with somebody who only keeps you in a live sim environment, indefinitely keeps you in a live sim environment, that's something that I get, right? If they're telling you you can only withdraw X amount of dollars for your first month or 2 months, once you're in funded, well then, yeah, you probably want to string a bunch together and try and go from there. But you know what, guys? That's really not how this business works and how it's done. And that will catch up to you sooner or later. Trying to trade 20 accounts, even when they're 90% off, I would recommend just going with a single account at Blue Sky and proving to yourself that you can do that, right? Because that's, honestly, you pass one. Now, I believe at Blue Sky, you can have a couple of funded accounts, two maximum, I believe. Get to funded in one of them. Get through stage 1, the eval, stage 2, Blue Live, and get into a funded account. Then if you want to go back and start another one and trade it alongside your funded account, that's fine. Then you get to the point where you're trading 2 funded accounts. I think that's outstanding. Right? And that gets you to a place, maybe you let one grow, and maybe you take regular withdrawals from the other one. Guys, I'm just throwing these ideas out there, okay? But for goodness sake, start with one. I'm not saying once you have some experience, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, and you have some consistent profitability, that maybe you don't try another one and go from there. But guys, I'll be honest, I mainly trade 95% of my trades are in my personal brokerage account. I have played around with evals over the years, especially or over the last year, especially because I've been working with a lot of eval students. So I want to make sure that I can personally, trade some of these rules. I went through a period over the summer. I passed 7 of 11 of the basic 50K, whether I did them with it live or I actually went into my RTrader Pro and set the criteria. You can set daily stop losses, all that, and get error signals and things like that when you put in too many contracts, right? And so I've gone through some of these, scenarios and setups based on various rules. And guys, even doing that, even trying to trade one of those alongside my brokerage account got me, wait, which account am I on here? No, this one is it's honestly, I've been doing this for 10 years. And could I really do that if I really wanted to do it on a day-to-day basis and make it part of my routine? Sure. But guys, if it's confusing for me to start with, it's certainly going to be confusing for somebody who's got, maybe you got 2 accounts here, 1 account. Just start with one. Honestly, guys, start with, again, if I know not everybody's got thousands of dollars to throw around or anything like that. That's why we're here with the funded trader companies. But if you can afford it, guys, start with the static account, 40% off sale, great time to do it, and just work on that and zone in on that for 2 straight weeks. Okay, and then see where you are. If you haven't passed or you haven't hit the drawdown at that point, that's okay. Then just keep going. Are you making progress? And again, keep in mind, in this ties Rule 1 and Rule 2 together, guys, one of the reasons to take the full month is because if you fail the account on day 18, of trading, you only have a few calendar days, and you get a free reset when you get your monthly when you pay your monthly fee again. And obviously, if you're locking that in at the 40% now, that's what you'll pay. Better to do that for maybe 3 months than try to get 3 accounts and, I got to reset this one. No, this one's doing okay, but I got to reset this one. Oh, no, wait a minute. This one gets a free reset at the end of the month. Oh, wait, that's 10 days away, but I'm 12 days away. You guys, you see, this is just a whole nother level of skill and complication that you don't need when you're first starting. The vast majority of traders that I've worked with that are, with Blue Sky or with funded trading companies are within their first year of trading, right? So, with that in mind, just start simple. Again, the reason I want to encourage you to go into the static account is because it limits you to 5 micros. It takes that, I have the discipline to do that anyway. I'm going to get the cheapest one. In all reality, you probably don't. I didn't have that discipline for about 2 years when I started. So if you have that discipline within 2 years, you're on a faster track than I am. And I wish that for you, and I hope that for you. But the greed and the gambling, especially if you have a prevalence towards those particular qualities, they're going to rear their head. Okay, some of the same mistakes that I made 10 years ago, I still want to make now. Now, I don't make them anymore. I'm able to say, no, Matt, you're chasing there. Don't get into this trade. Take your hand off the mouse and just take a breath. Okay, the urge to make some of the same mistakes I made 10 years ago are still there now. I just don't act on them now. Okay, so take that temptation away. I do want to add, as you can see in the chat, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you keep coming back here every day. When you guys are giving this views, giving this clicks, watching it on replay, it really makes it easy for me to go to the Blue Sky guys and say, hey, let's do another giveaway this Thursday, right? And we talked about that last Thursday. So keep showing up, keep watching, keep getting views. Let somebody know about the show. And as we really want to grow this show organically. And as we get up to several hundred, couple thousand views per day, you can say you were there at the beginning. And quite frankly, now, as we're just getting going, it's the best time to come and sign up for the giveaways because I can promise you, if we keep doing those on every Thursday, it's going to get harder to win every single week because there'll be more and more people showing up. All right, so I want to get now, guys, to our Blue Sky Trader mailbag, and we're going to go ahead and start with I see a couple of questions in chat, so let me pull up the chart just in case anybody wants to talk about anything on the charts, and we will go ahead and get into that. All right. So let me review here. Not quite really a question. Curtis says, I did not know you could set those limits in RTrader. Yeah, and actually we've talked about it in our Discord. Maybe ask questions on that in the Discord. I don't have it here, so I can't really pull it up and show you step by step. But guys, that really goes towards one of the cardinal sins of trading, which is not you have to know your tools. If you're using TraderView, you should. I understand. I'm not a programmer. I don't have the programming knowledge, or I don't understand the languages or anything like that. Most of you are not either, and I that's fine. But the platforms are so easy to use now. But you still want to know where everything is. When I started working with TradingView about a year ago and really kind of fell in love with it, I spent about 2 weeks watching all sorts of YouTube. Both from them and from other traders who use it, and just say, oh, that's how you do that. Okay, I can save this indicator thing here. I can do, whatever. Guys, if you have a tool, know it. Don't just jump from platform to platform, and all you want to know is how to put in orders, okay? Find a platform you like, even if it's something you got to pay a little bit for. I mean, don't go spend $1,000 a month on some, ultra charting quantum mechanics, astrology indicator chart thing on, makemillionsinAday.com or any garbage like that, right? But it was, especially something like TradingView has a very nice, good user interface. I use Edge Pro X in my brokerage. Both of those are supported here at Blue Sky. So just really find one and spend a month zoning in on it. If you don't like it, you can move on. But know your tools. Know what your indicators do. Know what your platform does. Know how to enter orders in a couple of different ways. Make sure you know, especially if you're trading personal money in a brokerage account, you know your emergency number to call your broker and exit out of positions. If you lose power or internet or whatever the case, know your freaking tools, guys. That is a cardinal rule. All right, simple is the best indicator in trading. I would tend to agree with that, Miles. Henrik has a question. How did you learn to listen to yourself and avoid the temptation to do something stupid? Oh boy. Oh, that is a question, and unfortunately, we try to cap this show at about 30 minutes on a day-to-day basis, but let me just spend a couple of minutes getting into this. So one of the misconceptions on trading, and you guys hear me on this show, anybody that's attended webinars or events that I've done in the past, I'm a big believer in trader psychology. Mark Douglas says, define your edge and act on it without hesitation. And I wish it were that simple, but obviously that takes time. And as I just told you, some of the negative emotions and negative habits that I developed early on in my trading career, I still have that urge, right? I still have that You know, it's a tough thing, and you've got to avoid that. But you mentally train yourself to really not do those things, right? Like I was a chaser. I was a small cap stock trader when I started. And if something was up 20%, you could be sure I was buying it, right? And here's the thing with bad habits in trading, whether it's chasing, bag holding, overposition, oversizing, they work just enough to keep you doing them, right? Like you'll bag hold, you'll lose 2,000, you'll lose 3,000, you'll blow out 5 accounts. But then the one trade that you make like $5,000 on or something, you're like, yeah, see, this works. And meanwhile, through all of those trades, you're still 300 or 400 in the red, right? Or 3,000 or 4,000 in the red. So they work just enough to keep you doing them. If every time you chased, you lost, it wouldn't be that hard to quit it. Right? I had days I made a ton of money chasing, and then I would slowly give it back over 3, 4, 5 days. Or one of the best trades I ever made, I made $5,000 on a single small cap stock in literally 17 seconds. I was chasing and over position sizing. Then I gave that all back in the next 3 days, doing the same dumb what that I did that got me there. Okay, it works just enough to keep you going. So how do you avoid the temptation to do something stupid? Honestly, without knowing your particular issues, I can only recommend that you read The Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas, one of the best books on trading ever written. Or you can just go to YouTube when this show is done and put in Mark Douglas Trading Psychology. There's usually somebody has some of his older, sadly, Mark Douglas passed away a few years ago, but some of his older conferences or stuff that are posted all the time. Anything that Mark Douglas does about trading psychology, I can't recommend it enough. The guy really did the first real deep dive on it, and he personally made and lost millions in the market several times. So he's looks at psychology from a trading aspect, whereas there's some psychologists out there who look at trading from a psychological aspect. You can get very good information from both perspectives, but for me, almost all of us out there are traders first, and we're not trained psychologists. So, hearing from a trader that studied psychology is something that we can reframe just a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it's part of it is not actually, Henrik, as you were saying, listening to yourself. Sometimes it's ignoring yourself. And honest to God, guys, this is the easiest way to do it. Have your playbook or your setup, right? Let's just say one to start with. You have one setup that you've studied, you've learned, either you've made it or you've learned it from somebody. Just trade that. And if is this, like, I have a setup that I call the VWAP tab. Okay, most of the setups I trade, there's not a lot of room for ambiguity. They either, like something with a VWAP tap, it either is or it isn't. Okay, yeah, some trades maybe are a little better than others when I'm looking at them. Say, oh, I think this has a better chance of succeeding. But still, you have a checklist, you have a trigger, you have a set rules that tell you what to do, and that's it. And just follow that. Okay, don't get away from being, trade on plan, right? You look, when you get a trade, say, is this for me, I'm going to say, is this a VWAP tab? No. Okay. Is this an RTT trade? Is this a candlestick trade around a key? It's not any of those. Then I don't trade it. I was talking with some clients earlier today, and I told them, I think we're going to go up here. Okay, and turns out I was 100% correct, but I didn't have a setup to enter into a trade for it. I had a thesis. A trade for me is where a thesis meets a setup. I had a thesis as to what was going to happen, but I didn't get a setup, so I didn't make the trade. Does that suck to have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen and not trade it and not make money on it? Sure, but for every time that I do that without a setup, there'll be 5 times I lose without a setup. So. What do I use for VWAP trading? Let me just show you this, guys. I use let me pull my screen back up here. This is the VWAP indicator I used. It's a free indicator. It's called the VWAP Intraday. It's available on TradingView. So that's the one I use. But guys, any VWAP-based indicator, as long as it gives you standard deviation bands, +1, -1, +2, -2, standard deviation, I don't think you can go wrong with that. What time frame? Oh, I always thought you were just saying WTF. Like, what the F do you use? It's too much time on Twitter, I guess. What time frame? 5 minutes. I'm always on the 5 minutes. And I just do. I know there's anchored VWAP. I know there's event-based VWAPs. When I'm looking at the indexes, I just want VWAP for that day. I'm not worried about yesterday or the day before. Anchored VWAPs and event-based VWAPs I know are very popular in stocks. Like somebody will do an event-based VWAP off of earnings or something like that. I don't day trade and actively trade a lot of stocks much anymore. I mainly do options and personal accounts and IRAs and things like that. So yeah, that's what we do there. Okay. All right, guys. So yes, please remember to subscribe to this channel. This show, guys, I will tell you this. I'm happy you're here watching this show live, but this show is designed to be watched, to be best viewed live. But the stuff we talk about can also be watched an hour from now or 2 hours from now. And some of the lessons, are evergreen. They're timeless. So, if you're watching this show for the first time and maybe you're not always able to be with us right at 4 o'clock, subscribe to the channel. And whenever you come sit down after dinner or watch this on your phone before you go to bed, it will be just as helpful, hopefully, without any major movements in the markets, be just as helpful 3 or 4 hours from now as it is right now. So, guys, again, I do want to draw your attention to the Blue Sky website and let you know we are having a 40% off sale. So go ahead and check that out. And we will be back tomorrow for another edition of Beyond the Bell with 2 more tips for trading your eval. If you got here late and you missed them, we did them fairly early on in the show. As soon as this broadcast is done, jump right back. We spent about 10 minutes talking about it. So thank you for tuning in to another edition of Beyond the Bell, guys. I will see you back here live tomorrow at the close. Have a good night.